Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm here with Melanie Benson Strick. Melanie Benson Strick is the big idea catalyst. You're a mentor and coach to entrepreneurs, and I always like the idea that you take other people's big ideas, something that's simmering in them, and you help them create that big idea and bring it to the market. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, before we start, I heard a rumor that you're going to be in Australia for 1 month.
Yep.
Boy, how do you do that and run a business? And I think that's the way you live your life. You're a real proud lifestyle enthusiast, right? And I think entrepreneurs need to be that way.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people aspire to, is like, how do you leave your business and still make money? How do you keep it going? And for me, the ability to have a business that I can run no matter where I'm at in the world, and knowing that I have the resources, the support, and the systems in place to do that is key. Because I spent 3 weeks in Europe a few years ago.
Wow.
I like to go to Hawaii a lot. I like to be able to do that. And while I'm there, I do like to experience the local culture for fun. But hey, I'm going to have a retreat while I'm over there. So now it's a write-off, right?
Yes, and I've known you for almost 10 years as you've been a consultant. What would you say some of the keys are to long-term success for entrepreneurs?
Well, I think there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs that get into business because they have a passion, and the entrepreneurs that start a business because they have a financial gain. And both of them need to be present. But what happens a lot of times for people who are passionate is they don't really think about, how is this going to be viable over the long term, right?
Right.
So, hey, when I am working
So it's a hobby.
Exactly. And that's nothing wrong with having a hobby, but I think if you're going to have a business that is going to last a long time, and you want to maximize your resources, you want to be able to use a good return on investment for everything you do in the business, you've got to think not just how am I going to make money today, tomorrow, and this month, but how is this business going to generate income, and how am I going to keep it growing over the long term, which requires different decision making, different strategies, and a different thought process than most people start a business with.
Yeah, certainly. So you either get into it because you need to make some money, or you get into it as a hobby, but really have that clear focus. Let's talk about getting unstuck.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs get that big idea, and there's a lot of clutter, a lot of things that create people from, as you say, their genius.
Right.
What are the 3 steps that you recommend to help people get unstuck in their business and really thrive?
Well, I think the first thing we do is we have to figure out why we're stuck. And if we understand why we're stuck, then we can get you unstuck quickly. People get stuck for a lot of different reasons. They don't have a roadmap in their head. They maybe have thoughts and beliefs that are limiting them. They beat themselves up all the time, or they don't feel very resourceful. So I look at 3 core things. 1, you got to get clear. You have to figure out, what is it that I'm going to do in what order in order to make this big idea happen.
And that's the clarity of why.
That's the clarity of a roadmap.
Of a roadmap,
yes.
okay, perfect.
Actually, that's a perfect segue to number 2, which is why. Why is this important to you? I think, and this is something that I feel really strongly about, most of us, when we hit road bumps and we get stuck, it's because we've forgotten our why. Why did we want to do this? What were we passionate about? What's the impact we wanted to have? What are the drivers of our success? Financial impact, making a difference, something that's a creative expression, as you and I both know that's really important. And so when we get unstuck, it's because we've reconnected to our why.
And I want to expand upon the why just real quickly. And we need to know the why of our customer too. Why is the customer coming to you?
Right.
And it's not to buy that product, it's what that product does for them.
How does it solve a problem?
Yeah, how
does it make my life easier?
Yeah, or better, or enhance it, or whatever that why is.
Make me more money.
Yeah, sometimes. But when you're in business, when you're struggling in business, or there's a lot of distractions, sometimes you forget to sit back and figure out that why is, or ask somebody to remind you what that why is.
You know what I see people do is they get so in love with their idea. This is what makes me happy. This is my passion. This is my genius. When I teach a program called the Big Idea Incubator. And when I teach that process, you have to understand what your genius is. You have to understand what lights you up.
Right.
And you have to have a roadmap to get that out of your head, so it's just not lingering as a concept. But then you actually have to next understand, what is it as it relates to the customer. I love the way you said that. How is it going to solve their problem, or make them happier, or get them what they want? And then we develop it in a way that's so juicy, so tantalizing, so magnetic,
Right.
that it's like you build this flock of raving excited fans and customers that can't wait to buy what you have.
And recommend your product. So you talk about a clear roadmap. You talk about the clarity of why. And number 3, resources. You got to know, you got to have the right resources.
The number one reason why people don't move forward after we get the clarity is that they don't know how to do it. They don't know what person to use for this step or that step. They don't know where to get the funding. They've never done it before, so they're feeling so out of the box. I mean, is there anything that you've ever felt stuck on because you didn't know how to do it, right? That's why we hire coaches or mentors or guides. And I find that it is probably the easiest thing to do when we switch the way we think about it. Instead of saying, I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, we think, what would have to happen in order to have the resources? What would I have to have in clarity? So asking ourselves better questions is probably one of the greatest tips to getting your idea out of your head, out there in the world, making money and making impact.
It's finding the right resources, and I love the way you say that. You could be a genius, but not be able to deliver a product because you can't work through what you need to work through. I think you really need to know you don't know. If you know you don't know, you're okay. And know to ask people for resources.
And ego plays a big part in this, right? Like how many of us say, okay, I can figure it out on my own, and then we're derailed because we can't figure it out on our own, or it takes us 3 to 10 times as long. And by the way, I think 2 of the most important resources that people don't often realize they do need is they need guidance to make it less mysterious and you get there faster, as well as we need people to help us implement. I'm not a great implementer, right? Like, even though I spent 10 years at Motorola, being in charge of implementation, that is my least favorite thing to do. It burns me out. You paperwork, right? So why would we do the things that burn us out? We get the people to help bring us up, get us more energy, get more enthusiasm, more trajectory. We get there faster.
And there's more people that will execute that better than us. We're going to jump to a quick break, but when we come back, I want to talk with Melanie on her upcoming book, The New Rules of Success. And Melanie's going to give some great ideas on how to get your business out of the rough.